That's unfortunate. There we go. Okay. Your timing is poor. Uh, or maybe it's my timing. Jeez. Okay. Trusty ape. At least it doesn't show.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Wow, interesting. Sponsored content there. Uh, it's not what we're watching tonight, though. I just came from Objective Ethics channel, and he's debating on the tomatoes thing. Probably a lot of people are watching that, or at least a few I saw. Some familiar faces. I sawed you. I sawed you. Um, okay. So tonight we're going back to something I had in the old watch later list. This is pretty recent, not that one. It's just about a week old. I was already subscribed to this channel, I guess. But then YouTube recommended me this video. I don't know. I don't remember watching this content, but it's possible I have in the past, I suppose. Casey Maloney or Casey Malone, I'm not sure how that's pronounced. Unrelated, but somewhat related to our situation, and things are said here. Nope, don't do that. I wanted to respond to, and I found some of it a bit humorous, to be honest with you. So, and so yeah, we're gonna. I got stoned before the stream. I probably shouldn't have done that.
Rituals, and they still can't get them.
Okay, we'll have to back it up. I did watch some of this beforehand there, so and see one lurking. Nobody in chat yet, but welcome whoever you are, and yeah, so this is why I don't want to be an atheist anymore, and she's monetized. So we're gonna have some ads to bear through. I don't have an ad blocker or anything, but I'm phone streaming again, as is my lot today. But hopefully it gets better.
Hello everyone. Today I want to talk about something kind of interesting, which is the word atheist and whether or not I am one. Now, first and foremost, of course, I am still technically an atheist, but this video is kind of in follow-up to my last video in which I talked about how exhausted I am with online political and religious discourse, which is frustrating because those conversations are incredibly important, especially right now in the time and place in which we live here in the United States. It's important to have those conversations, but really what I was expressing was my frustration with essentially the lack of nuance, especially in like the religious sphere, which is where I'm more comfortable in having kind of important conversations, because after being raised as an evangelical Christian and deconstructing, like that's a big part of my life, and I know that that's a big part of a lot of people's lives, especially my audience. And so it is true that I am exhausted with like online religious discourse. And again, in this video that I was talking about, that this is kind of a follow-up for, it's specific to how like dogmatic and fundamentalist a lot of online atheists kind of are, at least in my...
How are online atheists dogmatic and fundamentalist? Please do tell. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Welcome, good to see you. What's good? Happy hump day, buddy. Yeah, we're looking at this this video I stumbled upon, and its relationship to some other, well, you know, we won't go too much into the relationships, but it'll be apparent as we go through. So all right, and it was weird because she said she was, you know, she was concerned about a lack of nuance in religious communities, as far as I could tell, in like the religious spaces, but she also said that she was more comfortable having conversations in those spaces, but she wants it to be more nuanced, I guess, if I'm tracking there. What's up, Rex? Mormon. Hey JG, what is your most dogmatic belief? Dogmatic belief. Um, Human rights are wait, yeah, wait, no, I said that backward. Um, no, well, yeah, I guess I'd just say human rights are universal. Does that make sense? No.
My perspective, and I've actually come with receipts today because some people that I really respect and admire and are very academically sound in their work kind of back up the points that I was kind of making in my last YouTube video. So I wanted to look at that and dive a little bit deeper into why I'm not even sure.
All right, remember that because it's going to be important. These are people that she already respects academically, is going to be influenced by, right? Death is certain. Yeah, that's certain. I don't know what you mean by dogma, though. Maybe we'd have a whole conversation on that, but
I want to consider myself an atheist content creator anymore, even though that is technically accurate. It is technically accurate that I am an atheist and I do want to keep making content kind of
and she does still have the hashtags. I think she'll bring that up.
About not having a God and like still living a good life without one. So what does that look like? Where am I going with this content creation journey, etc.? That's what I kind of wanted to talk about today. But first, I want to watch a couple of these videos that I think will help me bring about my points as to why I'm kind of wondering if I'm wondering being the key word here, if I'm done like just completely identifying as an atheist content creator. I mean, there's two components to the word atheist.
Well, I don't know if nobody completely identifies as an atheist content creator. That may be like your relation, like the way that you engage with the internet on the YouTubes, you know, like could be that. But there are many ways to interact with the world. I mean, you can choose to be that brand, or you can choose to talk about anything else. I know people that have atheist sewing circles. I mean, like for real. You can you can literally talk about whatever the fuck you want, and there's almost always some kind of audience for it. You know, some kind of group out there. Clockwork Rex said Dogma was an awesome flick. I agree. Yeah, one of the greats. How about just a content creator? Yep. Yeah, people doing all kinds of shit. I know some folks out here. They're like scrapping. They're like collecting junk and like finding, you know, like random like flea market finds and shit like that. Just all kinds of shit they put out on YouTube. Like it's vast. So, but anyway, yeah, we'll continue.
That we're using here, the definition, the literal definition of which, you know, not believing in a higher power, that definition is technically still true for me. But I think what I'm kind of talking about in a broader sense right now is the cultural like context in which I don't know if I want to associate with just like being another atheist content creator. And so now I want to watch a couple videos that kind of back up the points of how online atheist content can end up being so dogmatic and almost like evangelical and fundamentalist in nature, as far as like really enforcing an in versus out group, having a very rigid kind of purity test for whether or not you're the right kind of atheist, and a lot of other things that have just been exhausting for me existing in this.
By purity test, is she what is she referring to? Is she talking about how there are like rules and restrictions in certain spaces? Everybody is, you know, like the police is their own channel. Rex says, see my channel. Yeah. I see your channel. Been over there a few times. No, I mean, I appreciate a lot of shit. Like, that's what I'm saying. But anyway, I make the shit that I want to make at the time. Like this, you know, is whatever I'm interested in. I'm trying to share it with people. And so yeah. But yeah, I'll continue on with this video here.
Space. So let's watch the first one.
Have you ever noticed that a number of prominent YouTube atheists once were conservative evangelical Christians? I interviewed over 20 YouTube creators who talk about religion online for my dissertation research, and a vast majority of them were former evangelical Christians, and a lot of them were also atheists now. And something interesting I know.
Yeah, you find that a lot with like like some very prominent like vocal atheists on the internet, that they were raised in a faith and then they deconstructed, and it's very difficult for a lot of people, losing family and friends in the church and stuff like that, having those conversations that often go badly, right? It's not everybody's story, but it's a lot of people's story, and a lot of them are compelled to come out here and talk about it. And so I think that's an important thing. My story, I feel like, is almost the reverse. Like, growing up, like, basically my family was not, religious, really. Some of my family members are like, more or less like spiritualists. It come from a Catholic upbringing, but we didn't, observe it or anything when I was little. I made the choice to start looking into religion once I started learning about it, which is pretty early. And then, like, from there, I became, like, almost hyper fixated on it for a minute, until this, like, the bubble burst in my head. But, like, at that point, I was very young, like, like a preteen. And then, so by the time I was into my teens, I already identified as an atheist, and, I've gone through all that. Like, I've spent most of my life an atheist. But now, as people, some older figures in my family have become more spiritual and more aligned with the church and stuff like that. That's been an issue, where it's hard for me to not engage in those conversations, So, anyway.
This was that the ones who had gone from conservative evangelical Christianity to fundamentalist atheism tended to be the straight.
Rick said actually reading the Bible makes a big difference, right? Yeah, or other books.
Men. They went from being so sure about their conservative evangelical faith to being so sure that that faith had no grounds in truth. And interestingly, the women creators I interviewed, the queer creators I interviewed, they were more on the fence. They were no longer conservative evangelical Christians, but they had become progressive Christians or agnostic. They didn't tend to go from conservative evangelical Christianity to fundamentalist atheism. They didn't go from the Bible is inerrant truth to the Bible has zero grounds in truth, like the straight white men were that I interviewed. And this pipeline
and there's a whole thing. It's this the male versus female, and the patriarchy again. It's like there's this weird thing. Men are just more likely, males, I guess, are more likely to be disposed to want to debate. And that's not like, obviously there are women who do debate as well. It's just that's more often a masculine thing, or whatever, it's perceived as a masculine thing to do. It's a more masculine trait to want to go and fucking argue with people, especially in public, right? And I think it's like akin to fighting, right? But we're like, it's the battle of wits instead of fists, it's that type of exercise. And so it's just more of a, naturally, masculine leaning thing to do. But that doesn't mean that there aren't plenty of women out there who like to debate, and get into the weeds of that. Because there definitely are. Actually, I think it's kind of growing. There's a lot more women in atheist spaces who are out there trying to engage in debates and like heavy discourse like that. So if it's not a space for you, you can change the channel, right? it's a big part of the
YouTube kind of content thing, though, right? God, stop calling me. I know who this is, too. You're not going to stop. um, Rex says 5 Hail Marys, 7 Our Fathers, and rub your rosary beads all night. Right? Yeah, I didn't know about any of that shit. And then I chose to go to the Catholic, like the catechism or whatever for a bit. And it told
yeah, rubbed me the wrong way. I was like, these people are fucked up. I got the fuck out of there, And then, yeah, after that, eventually I read some shit, and I ended up trying to write my own Bible because I found out that people had done that, and then I realized it was all bullshit, kind of from there over a period of time, but.
Observed in the straight men from conservative evangelical Christianity to fundamentalist atheism is actually backed up by other published research. Sociologist Landon Schnabel finds that men are more likely to end up in decided secularity, which would be atheist, scientific, and being loud about it, while women tend toward open, agnostic, or spiritually exploratory identities. And researcher Stephen...
Yeah, that's another thing, like the whole New Age spiritual woo bullshit. I've known some people who are into that, and like now that I know a little bit more, I could like try to actually inform them about some of the shit, like even conspiracy theory, like medical conspiracy theories and shit that I know better, and they just refuse to fucking listen. So I'm like, in fact, they get mad at me. So they get mad at me. Yeah, and spiritualism and shit. I don't know. Rex says, so you went Mormon, fair enough. This is not the Mormon discussion. No. I've been going to church, man. I'm not gonna say. I mean, yeah, I have to, do some big mental gymnastics, to get through it. And but there have been health benefits, I'll say, like overall general health benefits just by, so that's true, right? Like, but yeah, I'm not fucking, yeah, I don't know. I'm playing a role. I'm playing a role everywhere I go, right? It's all a performance. You go into work, you're doing that thing. You go out to the bar, you're doing that thing. If you're a performer, you're always playing a role wherever you go. Remember that. Life is like that, man.
Drew literally describes new atheism as having an evangelical structure, having a dualistic worldview where religion becomes the villain and science becomes the savior. So basically conservative evangelical Christianity, but flipped. And for these men, this pipeline becomes less about belief and more about claiming certainty as an identity. And if you've watched more of my videos, you
just claiming certainty as an identity.
Know that when we are feeling uncertain about the world around us, we tend to cling to strict structures like religion, which could be conservative evangelical Christianity, or the dualistic worldview of fundamentalist atheism. The men in this pipeline They
still have not explained what fundamentalist atheism is. What are the fundamentals of atheism? Is that we do not believe that God exists. End of story. Like, that's it. What is the fundamentalist there? Fake it till you snake it, right? Give me a little Philly and pop out of there. Oh no. It's been an interesting time in life, we can say that. For certain.
That by both conservative evangelical Christianity and fundamentalist atheism, that they have the truth. They know the truth, they should defend it, they should debate it, and then they'll win. And that's where we also get this online debate bro culture.
Does she look really, really like frustrated here for some reason?
That was also brought up in my interviews, where men debate on social media to defend their truth. And we're seeing this on both the conservative evangelical Christian side and the fundamentalist atheist side of this pipeline. Whether you
Yeah, you want to see some nasty shit? Go hang out with some Christians on the internet for a few years.
Think
Right?
of this pipeline.
Am I
Have you
right?
seen it? Especially if you are an expert.
Jace's fundamental atheism could be compared to nihilism. What? No. No. A world without God is purposeless? Is that the argument? Are we going with that one?
Yourself. Let's talk about it in the comments.
So, funny enough, I actually was one of the atheist content creators Dr. Macy Burkett interviewed for her work. This was like...
Yeah, did she say it was like a test, what was it, like 10 of each? Like a very small sample size, and you are one of them who happened to already agree with her probably prior to doing this, right? Oh, completely biased. I wonder who the other fucking participants were. You know, like that, citations fucking needed here.
Right when I started almost a year ago, maybe more at this point. And we had a really great conversation that was pretty indicative of exactly what she was talking about at the time. And I still do use this term. I was using the term like more of a spiritual atheism as she was kind of talking about there.
The paradox of spiritual atheism. We've arrived at this point. Yes. So it is indeed a what do they call that? It's one of those shit. Okay, there's a word for it, like a dialectical, something like that. Where you can you could simultaneously hold two conflicting beliefs, and there's another term for that that's more pejorative, right? But in psychology, it is a thing, and so. Yeah, if you are an atheist, where does your spirituality come from? What is that? What are you talking about? And then you basically, most people attribute it to like humanism, connection with others, with the world around you, and yada yada. Go look at the trees and go pet a dog and smell some roses and feel like a human, and then you go and have social interactions with other humans because that is what life consists of, and that is spirituality. And it's really just the argument for existence. Like we do exist and we're connected to each other through the fact of our existence. Crazy.
Even over a year ago, when I first started getting into content creation, I was really hesitant to fully embrace this whole like new atheist movement.
Did she say a year ago? She has like almost 50K subscribers, I believe, when I looked at her channel. Wow, I am really doing something wrong. But you're young, girl. You'll get it. You're young.
A lot of concerns about like the hard line, yes, no, materialism only kind of atheism I was seeing on the internet, and especially talked about by these white male atheist creators, which I see everywhere. And I swear another one is popping up every day on my TikTok feed, like debate me about the fact that there's not a God. And I'm just like, I'm exhausted. It's exhausting. And
you can just block those motherfuckers. You don't have to debate them. You are not obligated to debate weirdos on TikTok. It's not your job. It was not your platform. I mean, good God. Jay said, Kevin, what is the inherent meaning in your atheist purview, for instance? What is the inherent meaning in your atheistic purview, for instance? I'm not sure I already explained that, but if you weren't listening, no, atheism definitionally is the lack of belief in God or gods, right? That's basically it. For me, I mean, in deeper philosophical terms, it also means that I deny metaphysical constructs, right? Metaphysical interpretation of the universe is like a purely like it's an unfalsifiable stance. So, from my understanding, how that works, like you make claims about the way things work, that cannot be tested in any scientific way. And what's up, Ember? Good to see you, Pasta. Yes, I was gonna get into that. I was waiting to get down there, but yeah, we do have an alternative for you. If you want to be a spiritual atheist, there is a denomination. The Pastafarians it's free to join, and you can choose to wear a colander on your head or not. It's completely up to you. Nobody's going to force you to do anything. They're amazing, and maybe we'll talk about that more later. These folks are very angry with the atheist white male debate community. And they're just out here exposing the patriarchy. So we found this on the interwebs, and we're doing that. But yeah, we actually do have a space for that as well. Actually, maybe more than one space. Consider the Satanic Temple or something of that nature. And Jay says nihilism is no inherent meaning. But atheism is not necessarily nihilism. And hello, welcome, Nitty. Are we collapsing forms of nihilism? Yes. Ember says, praise his noodly goodness. I love it. Yeah, it's so positive too. It's uplifting, really. And if you're gonna believe, in invisible, entities in the sky, then why not a spaghetti monster? I love pasta personally. Pizza and pasta. I mean, I am Italian, so I love such things. Nitty just got here. Oh, is she on Fundy Ranch now? Yep. Oh yes. I don't remember how I became subscribed to her, but then the algorithm just suddenly pushed this upon me. Here I am. Yeah, so I figured, how else would I be spending this fine Wednesday evening? I consumed a lot of content tonight. Ember said, I don't think she is. She's just ranting about debate bro culture, probably. Well, she's talking about, like, basically dissociating from the atheist community while simultaneously remaining an atheist content creator, but then she doesn't really know what she would create content about. So we're like, hey, you could create content about any of your other interests, and people would probably still follow you. But yeah, that's but the anger is palpable.
We'll say there are obviously some exceptions. I think Drew from Genetically Modified Skeptic is a great example of an exception to this trend, and I know that there are other male atheist content creators, like Hemet Met is another great example. Austin Di Valentino, like there are other atheist men.
Shout out to those like really, really friendly atheist dudes, especially the friendly atheist. I mean, you can't forget about him. And no, yeah, they're out there. I don't know if I'm one of them or not. There are questions as to the safety of my space, apparently, but yeah, I mean that's maybe another conversation, I suppose. Nitty said, oh, boy, I'll come up there if I have to. Yeah. I mean, you do what you need to do, man. We gotta save these people. They've gone astray. They are no longer on the atheist footpath. We need to guide them back to sanity. Certainty exists says, yes, Kevin, I am trying to establish what the difference in your atheism and nihilism is. The lack of belief in God or gods does not necessarily make life meaningless. I don't believe that. I think all of our lives have some inherent purpose that first and foremost it comes from the fact of our existence, our drive to thrive and reproduce in most cases through the natural process. And then through that, because we're super highly evolved, we have like this capacity for memory and passing down information generationally and all of this stuff. We've discovered the difference between genes and memes and all of these very complex processes and things going on. And so through that, there is a need in us to try to advance our species collectively, right? Because we understand the implications of that in a vast span of time on this planet, which is actually, pretty much a small one, cosmically. But for us as a species, it's very significant because no other species that we know of have achieved this. And so that in itself, we can derive meaning from that and then go from there. We derive meaning in our personal experience. I mean, we know what we want for ourselves, right? And yeah, most of the time that involves seeking pleasure and avoiding pain, sometimes against our best interest, but that is kind of a flaw in the system. I mean, it's a bug, not a feature, right? So I think it can be explained pretty easily that way. Ember said, why would atheism be related to nihilism in the first place? Because that's where they go. They say the world without God is a world without meaning, no purpose. But it's just a fiction you've created for yourselves. And he said, I followed her for a while. And yeah, Ember said Hammond is really friendly. He is, yeah, extremely, yeah. Then he says, I'm the best atheist, damn it. Yeah, I try to be the best atheist I can be, but sometimes it's hard. It's hard out here in these YouTube streets. I'm so humble you don't even know. Jay says, Kevin, none of what you said gives inherent meaning. You were just explaining processes. The meaning the meaning is a result of the process. It results from the process. It just is. I don't have to ascribe anything other than that to it. Yeah, what do you consider to be an inherent meaning, traveler? What's up, Will Freeman? Good to see you. Certainty exists says, see how he just jumped into nihilism, then we can derive, imagine meaning from these processes? No, it's the result of the process. It's a result of the process. Which is not entirely consistent, right? Because sometimes you do get nihilists, and that's antithetical to, but the majority of the system does function that way. So I don't know what you would be talking about. Sounds like there's no inherent lack of meaning then, right? Where is it? It's in you. Find your purpose, buddy.
Content creators who really respect and kind of live in the nuance and complexity of a lot of these really intense and heavy conversations. And I do think that's worth shouting out. But as the research shows, I'm quite, glad that there is research that backs up my gut reaction to being an online atheist content creator and what this past journey has been like, which is just, it's a bit dogmatic. It's a bit in-group, out-group. And it's difficult for me because I understand the value of every kind of content creator who is in some way, shape, or form pushing against.
You notice how they always do this. They act like they're talking about one cohesive group when in fact they're talking about many individual creators, some of whom collectivize to form like larger organizations. What group are you exactly talking about? And it's so weird.
The chokehold of the dominant religion, especially here in the United States. Like, I actually do see the value of just the churning of debate bro culture, style of content. I do see that as like a top of the funnel. It at the very least can ignite some conversation and some passion about religious freedom or lack of religious freedom, etc. And that is important. But do you see how even now in this exact moment, I am still, even though I disagree with the style of content, I still have room for it. I still can respect its validity and its importance in the work that we do. And I just don't see that reciprocated when I, for example, say something like, I'm a spiritual atheist. It's like, if I don't have the exact same worldview as a lot of these other mostly men who are atheists, then I am not the right kind of atheist. And it's exhausting.
Most people, I don't know. Most people out there, I think if you come at them with that, they're going to ask you what you mean by spirituality, right? And I'm not one to, again, I don't want to argue it too much, but what do you mean by spirituality, right? And if you're talking about some, something ethereal, right? Immaterial. The you know, what's the kind of like a panpsychism theory, right? Where all of our minds are connected and things are. I don't know what you mean by spiritualism at that point. I wonder if you're talking about, again, engaging in the ritual, adopting a practice. You have some kind of moral foundation. Probably as an atheist, you're finding that foundation in secular humanism. If you want to look for good, ethical principles, there they are, and you can work off of that and be just fine. I think the tenets of Pastafarianism are nearly identical to those in the Secular Humanist Manifesto, if I'm not mistaken. JG says can't get it out for a minute as David Hume. We get it. We know the fucking argument, man. The fact is that you're trying to essentially what your guys try to do is try to work in reverse, and you try to act as if the it's the derivative of what is. Like it is descriptive of the way things function when they are functioning properly. So, and that's why we know that if there are whatever defects in the system, they're not functioning properly. So but that is anomalous. That is a vast minority of the whole species, right? So it's a flawed argument. It doesn't accurately describe reality. Kevin just established his own version of nihilism and didn't realize it. Sure, bro. Sure. Emperor says if you just want to call everything nihilism, then it becomes pointless. And Nidhi says exactly. The culture she's complaining about is the one asking for consistency and pointing out the redundancy she's making in the terminology. Spiritual has no function other than as an adjective to tack on to the mundane things that people get through life. That get people through life. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of describing like deep sentiment for things, like, the connection you have with your dog or something. It feels spiritual sometimes, right? Like, oh, that's really weird because I can't actually communicate with this thing, the way that I would with a person, but yet it seems to work. And sometimes it's actually deeper in that way. You have to kind of learn different ways of interacting with this being, and it seems really profound. And somebody might say that is spiritual. I don't know, right? What's up? Good to see you, Sammy. Much love, much love. I'm free all weekend, so up to some mischief. Oh, I might join in some of that. I don't know. Actually, I think I'm supposed to do some baptisms on Saturday. Oh shit! I did it again, man. I just ratted myself out. Amber says, I've seen a couple folks speak about spiritual atheism. One wanted to annex the rites and rituals from religion for psychological reasons. Another believes in the supernatural, just not a god. Yeah, I wonder what the supernatural entails without God or gods. That is my question. Like, are we talking about things that happen, again, like even if you were to say like things like telepathy were real or something, that would still be a product of minds, right? Like individual minds. You'd just be saying that some unrecordable phenomena is happening, right? It's because it's not like we're not able to physically observe it, but if you believed in it, it would be a product of mind. What does supernatural mean? Because that's not different than something that comes from a mind, any different than our imaginations, the shit we think up. So you'd have to provide some kind of definition there for me. Nidhi said, here's the thing, a bunch of these spiritual atheists shift into a counseling grift, and it pisses me the fuck off. And I had some conversations with somebody about this. No, I don't want to. I don't want to actually bring that up now. But yeah, it's been like a kind of personal to me in a way, I guess.
It's exhausting, and it is a pipeline. It's so easy, and I see this even in my personal life too. I was just having a conversation with my amazing tattoo artist about this the other day, and we were talking about how easy it is for people who grow, men especially, but this is true even for myself. I fell into this trap too, but it's so easy for people who grew up in like a high control religion like evangelical Christianity, Jehovah's Witness, Mormonism, etc., to go from such a very fundamentalist, like truth only, I have the truth, I have to defend it, like Dr. Burkett was talking about, and deconstructing that belief, but still holding those same kinds of thought patterns and just switching the label of it. Like, oh, now I have to defend the truth of atheism. There's no room for religion, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just like,
again, defending atheism is not defending a truth. It's defending a position that rejects a singular claim. That's all it is. That's all atheism is. Everything else is independent to each individual atheist. So the fact that people don't believe in God doesn't necessarily mean that they're aligned on all other things. That we've seen this time and time again. And yes, there is some infighting there between the politically divided atheists, as it were. But I think the spiritual atheist is just highly confused and is also holding on to one of those beliefs that held over from their days in the church, right? Because again, where does your spirituality come from? What is it? How do you describe it? And everything you talk about, reliably is a product of your brain. Which is a natural thing, not a supernatural thing, unfortunately. Sorry about your luck. Try again with that one. Ember said, as I understand it, they mean magic, miracles, ghosties, that sort of physics-defying stuff. Yeah. Maybe healing crystals. That could be spiritual, right? Can we realign our chakras today? Confederate MP, they want a sanitized supernatural. Actually, we're in agreement there. And welcome back.
It's not the most productive, I think, even if on someone's deconstruction, like lifetime deconstruction journey, I think it's okay to like live in that world if temporarily you need to be angry. I always try and say there's plenty of room for anger on the other side of your deconversion or your deconstruction journey. And it's okay to sit there and go on, atheist Reddit and agree with all of the like hard line, like there's only this life, there's nothing after this life. Like, I think that's okay. And I think that can be a really, in some cases, valuable part of our deconstruction journey, and I don't want to downplay that. But it's like a lot of content creators in the atheist sphere just stop there, and especially the white male content creator. I'm sorry, but like the data is apparently backing.
Again, this is just it's a proclivity of males in general, and I don't want to speak to the racism aspect there, but. More often than not, those are the people that gravitate towards Debate Club, and that's what you have on YouTube. And you're very angry about is that these debate spaces have become very popular, and there's a lot of white men there apparently, and you just can't force yourself to change the channel. And obviously, you are aware that there are a diverse. A plethora of diverse content creators out here. You just have to be looking for it, right? I've gotten to know people on all ends of the spectrum, from the hardcore Christian fundamentalist, and to I'm watching in black spaces, I'm watching in trans spaces, I'm watching in any of the anybody that I can find who's making content. I'm trying to be there like some of the time and diversify as much as I can, And so whenever I see that and I see it recommended, right, whatever it is, people of color, and also the opposite. Like if I can find crazy racist motherfuckers, I'm looking at them. I'm looking at them too. I want a little bit of all of it. And so, but the point is you can curate. You can be like, hey, I'm interested in atheist sewing circles. And like I said earlier, there's a space for that. It's fucking out there, man. Like, you can be anywhere you want to be. But you don't need to be angry at other people for doing what they do. Like, you really don't need to be mad about this. She's mad because there's white men arguing with each other about religion on the internet, and it's fucking wild. She's like, why am I not more popular? Why are they more popular than me? It must be the patriarchy. Jesus, my fucking Christ. It's because I'm a spiritual atheist. They've denied me access. I'm being persecuted. Help. Help. What the fuck just happened here? Who's in my chat? No. Nitty agreed. Nitty asked, could you explain what you mean? Oh, goddamn fucking stupid prism. By he says Rebel South. Sigh. Yeah, that's unfortunate, buddy. Why did you choose the wrong side? In my country, that's what I am? Well, yeah, whatever. What's up, Bond? But globally, I'm a Catholic monarchist. I think you're fucking trolling right now is what you're doing. If not Pope and King, I skipped Confederacy. Dude, I'm actually gonna... Yeah, he can go. We can get rid of him, if you don't mind. Anybody out there, I'm not in the YouTube stream, so... Oh, you're gonna stop now? You're trying to start fucking some shit in my side chat is what you're trying to do, alright. Alright. That's your warning though. That's it. Mods know what to do. That's your discretion.
That up.
And
so,
no
of course, the other perspective I wanted to get on this is the Queen herself, Britt Hartley from No Nonsense Spirituality. I've had her on this platform before. We had a great conversation about a lot of the nuance when it comes to technically falling under the category of atheist, even though now I don't know if I'm like trying to just be a part of this, culture anymore. Even if it's technically true that I don't believe in a higher power, like, I don't know if that's the world. And I just say, I'm talking about this because specifically like online with the algorithms and such, like using hashtag atheist, right? Like using the search engine optimization that gets my...
Which, by the way, she is using in this video. I just want to clarify. Wait, no, I gotta do the other thing. We can look at the fucking description. Exit full screen. Damn it. Atheist community, atheism, religion, enter hashtags.
My content pushed out there. Like, again, these are really important.
I'm just saying.
Conversations that I want to have and want to continue having, but I have grown, I've felt a lot of like internal resistance with constantly using like hashtag atheist or like atheist kind of SEO, because it puts me in the same category of a lot of that world that I just don't, I don't want to repeat, if that makes sense. So that's why I'm kind of like playing.
Not really. I mean, if you want to avoid drama, just fucking avoid drama. You curate your own space. That's what I've learned. And that's, why I operate multiple accounts. And, so I'm open about that. I don't want to call them sock accounts. they all serve a function, right? But I make sure that from time to time, I have to divide my attention so that I'm not always in this space of what I'm doing now, and I get caught into a cycle where I'm consuming too much negative content, right? So it's all about maintaining balance. I mean, Confederate MP, I'm not even telling you to fucking stop talking, just you stop starting shit. That's what I saw. He left. What? Nitty? Oh, I mean, what, Rex? Too late? What? You let him tell on themselves? Yeah. Fair enough, fair enough. Just, I'm tired of the agitators, man. Just a little bit. Nitty said she had the grifter on? Oh, that one? Jeez.
Nitty said I kind of started it. No, it was fair. I kind of I had on the last stream when he came in, I was like, yeah, this is gonna be one of those fucking times. So we'll see. See, I don't recognize that person. I don't think I recognize that person anyway. I've tried to, pull up in my memory banks. It's not
During, so I'm like, yeah, when randos come in, names like that, and yeah. We just never know. We gotta be careful. We gotta be cautious. Safety first, then teamwork, I think is the phrase they use there.
Around with like what kind of content I would still want to make, even though I don't want to leave these specific conversations about living the good life after Christianity or like valuing life as like a more secular humanist kind of religious identity or non-religious identity XYZ. I still want to have those conversations, and I don't know really how to go about it all the time without something like a hashtag atheist, but let's see what Britt says.
Yeah, just align yourself with people you view as positive creators. I mean, you just do that. It's not really more complicated than that. Just, you don't have to watch, the debate shows, and you could just, maybe try to collaborate with Hemet or something like that. Do something positive with it. Or just do your own fucking thing. Like, just don't bother me about it, right? Like, why?
It's about this kind of in response to this video by Dr. Macy Burkett. I keep saying Dr. Macy Burkett because it's just cool. When I met her, I don't think she was a doctor yet. It's just like kind of cool.
And yes, I'm being a little bit of, I'm playing a role. I'm being kind of a jerk. Okay, I get it, right? But I mean, hey, we all go through tough shit, so sometimes you need a little bit of tough love, right? It seems like an intelligent person. Probably won't ever watch this because she's got like almost 50,000 subscribers or something, I think. Let's confirm that. Let's just confirm, because I don't want to make the claim, but I thought that was like the number. Oh shit! See, now I fucked up. Just want to go to the channel, man. Want to go to the channel. There. Okay. We're rotating again. Yeah, 49 point. Yeah, nearly 50K. Okay, so just saying. Hashtag just saying.
No, she's a doctor, but
Have you ever noticed that a
Oh, my stream is still on? That's crazy. It looked to me like my stream just died, but Prism says I am still live. Where's my button? My fucking... Oh, okay, there it is. I minimized it. My bad. Dude, I totally fucked up. I was tripping for a second. I thought my fucking stream dropped. Okay.
no, she's a doctor, but
Have you ever noticed that a number of prominent YouTube atheists once were conservative evangelical Christians?
First of all, go give her a follow. It looks like she's kind of new to TikTok. She only has 1,000 followers, but her content is fantastic, so go check her out. For me, I have self-identified as a spiritual atheist. That's the phrase that kind of felt most authentic to me. But if there was one thing that would get me to change from identifying as an atheist, it would be this concept and how men have turned atheism into a male-centered identity space. And I already kind of came from one of those. What I see from this space is atheism.
It's a male-centered identity space. Atheism is a male-centered identity space. So, and there it is again. It's just the patriarchy, males dominating society everywhere, even in the non-believer section. I don't know. I leave it to you. Do you agree or disagree, chat? Right? I think it's quite ridiculous myself. I'll just throw my hat in the ring there. Again, I think there are reasons that, men or debate as a thing that people do tends to be a more masculine exercise, right? It's just the way that humans work. I don't think it's inherently sexist, and I think we should encourage more women to do it, as long as they're comfortable doing it. But that also depends on them. Right? So, I mean, end of story there. Thank you, Will. What's happening? Time them out if you want. Oh, yeah, a short timeout's all they need. I mean, I don't know. Who got timed out? I'm all, what? The fuck? We're all fucking around. Good to see Halsey, Robin. Much love, everybody. I'm trying to finish this fucking video now. Oh, no. Long story short, Nitty said nobody in the debate space is telling women to leave. Yeah, never. Well, maybe some of the Christians. I've heard some of the Christians say that, but nobody in atheist spaces that I'm aware of. That motherfucker would be gone pretty quick. Jeez. Yeah, Sammy says more men have penises than women. It's sexist. Damn it, Jim. We ought to take that one up with God, right? Fucking asshole. But he says if the line isn't your thing, then don't make it an issue, right? You don't need to participate if you don't want to. You'd probably be very welcome to participate if you did want to. Maybe you're just not reaching out to the right people. But I doubt you are being actively excluded. I can't see it. But the whole spiritual atheist thing is kind of problematic. And if you're trying to actually have an argument, you're going to be hard pressed on both sides with that one. It's a hard line to toe, I will admit. Nitty said, for real, like John Cohen, Skeptic Haven, Joel reads Bible and Mezzo are adding academic women and hosts all the time. Great. I mean, I say, fuck yeah, do that. I mean, I always appreciated, like, in my early days was when Matt Dillahunty and Tracy Harris were still co-hosting on the Atheist Experience before the explosion, years back. And that was kind of a big part of my introduction to all of that. And I thought they were those two were the best together, and I was really sad when it ended, but shit, it is what it is, so. But that was something I was kind of deeply invested in at the time.
Being used as a superiority thing, where in religion you just thought we have the truth and the world is lost, and now it's we have reason and the rest of the world is stupid and all believers are stupid. I see this with debate replacing inquiry. Instead of being curious about people and why beliefs exist and what needs they meet or how people change, people are only listening for, like, what's your logical contradiction that I can type into the comments? And they're not really listening to you as a human being. They're just waiting to find this, like, low-hanging fruit that they can debate. Science becomes this savior narrative. Certain writers and scientists and podcasters can become prophets in this space where we all kind of repeat the same narratives from them to each other. And the one that I combat most with atheists is just an...
But what is the prophecy? What is she fucking talking about? Just go put a fucking colander on your head. I mean, I'm telling you, there's a space out there for you. You can be as fucking weird as you want to be. Let your fucking freak flag fry. Fry. Now I know I'm fucking high. Let your freak flag fly. Jesus. They're just complaining because they're not as popular as the debate bros. And I'm sorry, if you want to avoid drama, you need to avoid the debate bros sphere. Because debate bros breed drama. That's the nature of the thing. If you can't take the heat, get out of the fucking kitchen, or whatever the fucking expression is, right? That's your whole problem right now. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be mean, but I gotta be real with people. I just gotta speak it. I gotta tell it like it is. I'm out here. Oh, what's up, Titan? So you came back. Good to see you, actually. I read your message. I've been putting deep thoughts into it. And I will respond when I'm ready. But I imagine you might have heard what I said. And if not, then it will be in the response anyway, I suppose. But I have love for you. I will say that. And I remember when you were there for me. And I'll leave it at that right now. And anyway, Robin says you'll probably have one, Sammy. I have to learn some manners, but I'm not holding my breath. Good sport. Dude, I mean, I fucking trust you. That's why you got that thing. And then if I learn to distrust you, you lose it, right? That's the way that shit works. That's the way that shit works for me. Nitty says, Titan, when you debate Andrew Wilson and develop a gripe for debate culture, I can't say I'm surprised, right? Oh, welcome, Cher. Good to see you. Said I was going to say freak flag nut and then got What did I say? Gives Wilson time. I like to poke fun at the Wilson occasionally. I think he's an interesting character. I don't find him to be sincere. I think Jim Bob is sincere. I don't think Wilson is sincere. Jim Bob is obviously, on some straight Kool-Aid. And it's like he's brewing his own batch over there. Wilson, I think, is a complete fucking MAGA shill. And, he's definitely a non-closeted white nationalist. He owns that shit loud and proud. So I think that's really the get up there. Yeah, Wilson is lying about military service. I heard that. That's fucking amazing. A fucking douchebag. And Rex says so is Ray Comfort. And Titan says Hovind is almost a rite of passage. I get it, he's a locale, but Wilson is a toxic ass clown fascist. Exactly. Agreed. Alright, I'll continue on the video here.
Allergy to anything under the umbrella of spirituality, even when I can show you measurable human experiences in awe and ritual and self-transcendence and morality and all these things that I can show you the science of. If it is in the spiritual space, they'll just kind of throw it away. This was part of my disconnect with Matt Dillahunty, where I was trying to explain that reclaiming the word spirituality can do really good things for secularism. And he was just like, doesn't matter, make up a new word. And it's like one person making up a new word is not really an effective strategy for this space, just because you have a particular...
What is the connection to spirituality? Where does that come from and why does that matter?
Allergy with this word. I think there's a lack of vulnerability.
Are we allergic to it, or is it just a nonsense word that doesn't actually mean anything other than I still believe in woo-woo bullshit?
And and empathy in this space when I talk about how hard it was for me to leave religion. There's no compassion for that from atheists. It's all certainty and detachment.
There's a whole fucking organization called Recovering from Religion. Like, you can talk to them. There are compassionate people there, or so I've heard. Right? Have you tried? Have you tried? Titan says Wilson and Jim Bob both ought to shampoo my crotch. Well, yeah, I think it's funny. I was lurking earlier, and Jim Bob lately has been also trolling other Christian content creators on TikTok, which I think is fucking hilarious. So I was getting a kick out of that. Christians going to Christian.
And this kind of verbal aggression, and we've forgotten about vulnerability and actually just talking to each other about what it means to be human. They sometimes refuse to make bridges with religious people and just expect everyone to become secular tomorrow, which is...
Nobody fucking expects that. Most of us are actually surprised that atheism is growing, or whatever. People are deconstructing from religion at the rate that they are. Like, most of the time, like, that's a big win, and in reality it's a small percentage, and we're like, okay, we'll keep inching our way the fuck in here, like, and nobody, we're running no victory laps over here. We are being fucking smushed worldwide. Like, what are you talking about? Have you looked at the numbers? I'm sorry, what?
Of like a utopia kind of thing that's not even possible, instead of working with religion, because religion's going to continue to exist. There's such an emphasis on
that is a pessimistic outlook, I believe. The idea that religion will just persist no matter what we do, and we could never educate people into fucking using their critical thinking, their rational brains, to know that there is no invisible entity out there fucking pulling the strings to control the weather, because it's just stupid. It is stupid, and they're gonna get mad at me for calling it stupid. I'm not calling it. Remember this, because it's gonna be important. We attack ideas, not people. I'm not saying you are stupid. I'm saying that was a stupid idea. I've had a lot of stupid ideas myself. I mean, it happens, but we got to get over it. We got to move on, and we got to try to get better. Let's do better.
Deconstruction, because deconstruction is where you get to feel smarter than everyone else and better than everyone else, and reconstruction is really hard. And so there's a lot of times where people are...
What the fuck is reconstruction? Is that the part after you deconstruct, you have to construct something new? It's not reconstructing the same thing you had. You have to fucking build a new foundation, right? Your foundation has been taken out from under you. You need to make a new one. A lot of things are like this, right? A relationship ends, or you become unhomed, or you have some really devastating traumatic event in your life, and you have to restructure, whatever you're now lacking, right, to be able to flourish as a human. That doesn't mean that you have to have a spiritual or religious outlook on the world. It's not necessary.
A few years in atheism where they're consuming all the atheist debates, and then nothing new is happening. Like, you're still just doing the same thing 10, 20 years later with the same podcast, and it's like eventually you just got to move on.
Before Merit
Wow,
America,
that's amazing.
Amy
Actually,
was
this is our
struggling
first
financially
ad.
as a single parent. She worked as a truck operator.
Still just doing the same thing 10, 20 years later.
But yeah, no, I mean, and so the Atheist Experience, all of these shows, they rotate hosts, right? Usually there's sometimes there's been a standard host that has been there consistently, but they often rotate co-hosts, they often rotate hosts, depending on the platform and the popularity of that particular person at the time. Sure, if it draws in more people, that's one of the things they're going to do. That's their fucking job. Like, as an organization, that's what they do. They create a show. They try to garner attention for that show and continue operating in some kind of consistent way, while also diversifying on the platform and allowing more people to participate, right? It's a very standard media presentation, right? It's like they've been doing this on public television for years. It's not some, and again, the fact that more cis white men maybe choose to participate in this is kind of an incidental kind of thing that happens because those people are more likely to choose to engage in that type of activity, right? But it's not that other people are necessarily being excluded from that activity if they wanted to participate. So I just can't stress that enough.
With
the persecution complex is real.
Same podcast, and it's like eventually you just got to move on. There's definitely a purity culture in atheist culture where if you say the wrong thing, you're kind of like excommunicated from atheism. And women are leaving.
Can you be excommunicated from your beliefs? Can you... I love that. Excommunicated from atheism. We kicked you out of the atheist club. You can no longer be a member. Atheism is a belief or a non-belief in a particular claim, right? A non-belief in a particular claim. You can't kick people out of atheism. That's what are you talking about?
Spaces, especially in the atheist YouTube space, because atheism is becoming really attractive to men who...
Atheist YouTube is a high control cult run by cis white men. And you heard it here.
Lost religious certainty.
First time ever hearing that.
But still want a clear enemy, a hierarchy, a mission, heroes, some kind of moral superiority, a total explanation, and a community based on an identity of you being right. And so it's leaving Christianity, but it's preserving all of the patriarchal psychological architecture. And women are just like they're just over it. I also see this competition in the atheist space between men who just want to outcompete each other and who can be the most logical robot.
The logical robot. I love that. Again, and she's using the fists as a visual there. Yes, it is a form of combat. It is intellectual engagement rather than a physical engagement in what is otherwise a conflict, right? In this case, probably a moral conflict or an ideological conflict, right? That is what a fucking debate is. That's literally what they're doing. That's the purpose of the thing. And actually, the purpose of intellectually debating and sitting down and talking about things is partially to influence people, to change minds, generally the audience in a public debate sphere, not usually your interlocutor, right? But it is also a means of avoidance to actual physical conflict and aggression that might otherwise occur between these individuals who disagreed about a thing, and the primitive way would have been to settle it through violence. And now instead we sit down and we use our words, and if we lose, we go home and we fucking cry about it, and then move on the next day like reasonable, rational, evolved, civilized apes, right? Like, hopefully. Or sometimes people still use violence because they haven't evolved past that. I don't know what to tell you. It's just the way the world works, right? This is the world we live in, and these are the hands we're given. You know the rest.
Instead of being a full human who is relational and vulnerable and emotionally honest and humble and capable of living without superiority and curious. And there's just this competition there. So I can show someone the science of something like rituals, and they still can't get themselves to get involved because they'll be afraid that other people will see them as not a logical robot. And it's specifically straight.
Hey, you guys, you don't perceive me as a logical robot, do you? I just want to make sure. Am I winning yet? Damn it, I did it again. Definitely not winning.
White ex-fundamentalist Christian men who are really taking over the atheist space. For more on this topic, I recommend Brittany's science.
They're taking over the atheist space. Some of these motherfuckers, that you don't even know who you're talking about. I mean, you're talking about the people on the front lines, the people you see on the screens, and you don't actually know who the people are behind the scenes, maybe who finance and organize these things, because sometimes those are two separate people. Sometimes the organizers are out there in the public, like Matt, like Godless Engineer out here, right? But sometimes they're not. Maybe most of the time they're not. I think, from what I can tell, and so you're talking shit about people who are financing the very endeavor that you yourself are attempting to engage in and garner attention from. And you're like, well, because they're cis white men, they're terrible, and they're somehow taking away from my potential popularity, I guess, as a content creator or something. I don't really know what they're actually taking away from you, or if you're just tired of watching the program but too lazy to change the channel, or what the fuck is going on with you, right? But that's... Yeah.
Then all you have to know about her is she's an autistic philosophical girly, and she is one of my girl crushes. I'm absolutely obsessed with her brain. We have had one conversation together, but she did this YouTube video on why...
That's not creepy as fuck at all. If I said some shit like that about a content creator, they would call me a fucking weirdo, dude. On my... Are you serious? Are you serious? No. No.
Men are struggling with the concept of spirituality and how they're getting stuck in the identity of atheism. I thought it was a fantastic take.
So I love that kind of backed up everything I've been saying. I think it's a good example of like what I'm getting in the comments all the time. Like you can look in my comments and I'm still constantly getting pushback from calling myself like a spiritual atheist or having any room for any kind of nuance outside of specifically hardlined dogmatic atheism. And it's exhausting.
When you label yourself atheist and put yourself in a position where people can call you to debate that subject, that's what's going to happen. That's why you cultivate a community around you. If you want to be insulated from it, again, you choose how your channel is moderated. This person apparently is very young. So she's been like a year on YouTube. Almost at 50k subscribers, has no idea what the fuck she's doing, no idea where she is. She's just like, I don't know, but I'm still obsessed with woo-woo spirituality, and I'm tired of being criticized for that. Go talk to woo-woo spiritual people. You don't have to come to a hashtag atheist spaces. That nobody's forcing you to do that. You're a fucking adult.
And obviously, like my audience, you guys are perfect. You guys love living in the nuance. You're not very us versus them, black and white. Like you understand there's a little bit of gray. You guys are perfect. But for the most part, like this entire sphere has just really shifted my perspective on like where my values really lie, because of course, I get comments here and there of people, wanting to be supportive and saying like, hey, I saw you in the debate, and you did a really good job like proving those Christians wrong. Like, thank you, that's great, cool. But the most meaningful feedback I get from my content has never been about like, wow, you totally owned that Christian, like you slayed, The most meaningful feedback I get, the messages I most often get from random people who are sending me a DM or an email are like, questions about how to leave the church, like how to be on the other side of a deconversion and not being religious anymore, not identifying like that. Like, how do I tell my wife or my parents that I don't believe?
You know who has resources for that? Recovering from Religion. You could totally contact them. You could sign up to work with them, actually help people like that, but they will also just educate you for free on how to talk to people about that shit. They have a whole ass program on the interwebs for that. You can totally go do it. It costs you nothing except a little bit of time to learn how to talk to people about deconversion and deconstruction.
God, or how do I get rid of this fear of hell, even though I don't really think hell is real? Like I'm still scared of it. Like very real and raw questions, or support in the form of, and I love these messages like, hey, you have helped me so much believe that life can be okay outside of the church. Because what I'm really trying to do here is not, and you guys have heard me say this, like, I'm done like trying to disprove the Bible. I don't need to find all the contradictions in scripture and prove that the God of the Bible was genocidal and patriarchal and all of these things that I'm just not interested in. Like, that's being done. There are plenty of totally worthwhile content creators out there doing that kind of work, and I do think it's good work. It's not who I am. I am more interested in
Wait, did we just spend the last 18 minutes of you complaining about this to tell us that you are actually not angry about this? What what the fuck was all that? Huh? I'm sorry, what did you say, man?
exploring how to actually build a high quality life on the other side of religion, and that's where I've been struggling, because it's like, how do
you seem to be doing pretty well to me. I mean, considering my current position where I'm broadcasting from, and assuming your background is natural and not AI generated, you appear to be doing, fairly decently. I mean, in the physical sense of it. I don't know about your mental health, but I'm not a doctor either. So, but yeah, we can speculate.
Market that? How do I connect with you guys on that? What does that even look like? It's not really done, not very much. No nonsense spirituality is literally about that, but like, that's one avenue. There's 8 billion avenues you can take, right, on this journey. And so I so appreciate that the feedback from my audience, whenever it's not just about like how rational my arguments are, it's about knowing that it can be safe and fun and joyful to live outside of the confounds of high control religion. I want my content to be more inspirational and motivational and less focused on the very real traumatic aspects of growing up in a high control religion. Like, that is so important. But even like constantly living in the trauma and all of the ways it was harmful, I don't know if I can emotionally do that service anymore. And I don't think that, based on the messages I'm getting, I don't think that's what people are really looking for. I'm seeing
it's based on really, like, again, like I was talking about earlier, dividing your attention, being able to disconnect from that activity for a period of time and then come back to it invigorated. But you have to establish a system that is healthy for you, where you don't become completely that's the word I'm looking for, like, become obsessed with it, right? When you become obsessed with it, it becomes unhealthy. If you become, just overly involved, right? To where it is affecting your emotional status from day to day, that's too much, right? So you need to be able to connect to it, do what you need to do, using your brain, intellectualize it, let go of the feeling thing, right? And cut it off. It's like pulling off a Band-Aid, but a lot harder because it's weird human emotions. I know it's strange. Maybe that's the spiritual thing. Like, emotions are spiritual. We can't really explain them. They happen sometimes for no apparent reason, although we can almost always find an antecedent trigger for an emotional response, but they are not necessarily always rational. And then we seek to try to explain why that happens. And yeah, there's a lot of deep psychology involved in that shit, but yeah.
A lot more interest in, okay, so now what? Like, we're done. We grew up. We're done. Like, civilizationally, we don't need religion anymore. Maybe some people do. That's fine. That's their own prerogative. What can we do to build a good life now that I stopped believing in God? And I don't even know if like believing in God is a choice in the first place. So this might be entirely out of my control, and I'm super terrified of going to hell. Very real conversations. Those are the conversations I want to have. And I have not been perfect.
Join some open rooms, lady. Like, where are you hanging out? She's been around here a year. She got 50K subscribers. She hasn't figured out she can. There's spaces for you. You can go have these conversations. Go to Discord. I mean, it's all out there. You're only limiting yourself.
Like, not completely. I have made the mistake of just constantly trying to belittle Christianity. And I'm not going to promise you that I'll never let my very real anger at Christianity not shine. Like, there's so much that I absolutely hate about Christianity, period. And I'm not going to pretend like I'm going to be this perfect moral compass and never letting that anger shine through, or maybe have a weak moment of like more divisive rhetoric because I have so much honest trauma wrapped up in it, and I'm not asking any of us to be perfect in that regard, but just know that moving forward, I want us to have something to look forward to. I want my content to be a place where non-religious people can feel excited about.
That's up to you. You curate your space. Whatever happens with your content, that was something that you chose to do. Let's make that abundantly clear. I mean, it's not always a good decision, but it is a decision. You are making a choice. Nobody forced you to do that. Nobody's holding a gun to your head saying, go make a YouTube video. Unless maybe you're Rev, but we'll not. Yeah, no, we don't want to get distracted here. Okay, so let's get real. Like, you chose to do what you did. If it appeals to your audience, right? You don't know, right? You don't know how it's gonna land until it fucking lands and you get the response. And then you look for that dopamine hit. People are reinforcing you. You try to continue that trend, right? It's one way to do it. And you could say something that is highly unpopular, but, maybe that could also get you more attention. You say something that's very unpopular, especially in a space that you have previously curated, that might get you a lot of clicks for being, controversial. We'll say controversial. I'll use that word. There are other words I could use, but I picked controversial for a reason.
Life. Like I used to feel excited going to church. I'm going to be honest, right? So I'm not sure I want to be identified as an atheist content creator anymore. I don't know what alternative there is. Kind of like Britt was saying in that video, like, just because I'm allergic to a word doesn't mean I can completely shake it off. Like, it's still useful for me to technically be under the umbrella of atheist content creator. I'm playing around with the word godless. I kind of like that. Does it mean
She just said useful. It is useful. She is considering the utility of using this label for the purpose of creating content.
Same thing as atheist, which is just someone who doesn't believe in a higher power. Yeah, it does. Like,
technically, yes. I mean, you're using a synonym for the word.
I'm trying to make it be less of like, I don't think there's a creator being, and more like, I don't have a God and I won't be claiming one. Does that mean the same exact thing? Is it true that I am?
Yes, it's literally identical. No
technically
distinction.
An atheist? Yes. But this is what I mean. Like, there's got to be a way to just move away from what this whole system of atheist content creation has continued to perpetuate, and into something maybe a little bit more joyful, more exciting. And the last thing I'll say about this is in no way, shape, or form comparable. When I'm talking about like the atheist sphere of content creators, of people in general, the culture of atheism, I know that it's not a religion.
What the fuck is the culture of atheism? What is it? What is atheist culture? what are we talking about? Talking about how ridiculous religious belief is? I guess that's kind of atheist culture, but religious people also do that. They're just talking about each other, and then we come out here and we're against all of them, and we're the smallest population, more or less, between the larger groups, and then there are obviously smaller religions who are even weaker than us, scare quotes. But yeah, there are some tiny ass religions out there, right? Thousands of religions worldwide. It's crazy, folks.
First of all, but I want to say it's not in any way, shape, or form comparable to the harm that Christianity is doing in the United States, that Christian nationalism is doing. This is not me trying to like police my own community. This is just saying like, I don't know if I like fit in it anymore, and so my content is going to maybe shift. I don't think that if you put all of the atheists in a room together, we have more of a concern as far as like human rights and social justice than if you put all of the Christians in a room together. That's not what this is.
What? I'm sorry. What did she just say that the secular humanists at large are less concerned for human rights and human well-being than Christians, even though, or even just religious people in general. Is that what you just said? Religious? I'm sorry. Let's go double check that. I know that it's not a religion, first of all. I am playing this at normal speed, by the way. She, I think she did some editing through some of this, which is fine. You can edit your videos, but there was also like a weird segment earlier where she didn't edit out like her neighbor or partner in the background or something. So I thought that was kind of weird, but some of this seems sped up, so it's hard to tell.
Way, shape, or form comparable to the harm that Christianity is doing in the United States, that Christian nationalism is doing. This is not me trying to like police my own.
So Christianity is definitely still way worse, and she's not trying to police us. Good to know.
This is just saying like I don't know if I like fit in it anymore, and so my content is going to maybe shift.
Do you have friends? Like, do you know people? Like, where are you trying to fit exactly? Because anybody can put hashtag atheist in their fucking content and be an atheist content creator. That's kind of the way that works. Like, who do you want to gain acceptance from? Have you reached out to those people? Do you have connections? Have you spent time in those spaces and cultivated those relationships like a human being to be able to be connected to those people? I don't know. Again, KZ has a lot of subscribers, but I don't know how the fuck I even got turned on to the content, because I've been out here, with my tentacles reaching around.
Don't think that if you put all of the atheists in a room together, we have more of a concern as far as like human rights and social justice than if you put all of the Christians in a room together. That's not what this.
Well, what do you mean by human rights and social justice? Do you believe that trans rights are human rights? Do you think that healthcare should be available for all? Well, let's put a group of atheists and a group of Christians in a room together and find out what they believe. And I think there's actually we can look at research about those things though, and we know that secular people do tend to care more about human flourishing than do Christians, because Christians only care about the glory of God. And if you do anything that undermines their holy books, the glory of God, then you're fucked. You're fucked. You're going to the bad place.
Is about, and this isn't me trying to say that any kind of atheist content creator is not good enough or whatever. It's just, it's exhausting. And I think
did she just tell me I'm not good enough? Jesus, did I read that correctly? I feel so offended right now.
I would like to be part of building a different kind of environment. So I just wanted to say that.
She hates white males, and I am one of them, so I feel attacked right now. Of course, she spent the entirety of this video attacking me. I'm too loud. I am too popular. I am white and I am male. Hear me roar.
I just wanted to leave you guys with that. I really appreciated these takes from these very academically sound and intelligent and amazing and powerful women.
You're a bunch of fucking weirdos, fucking like basically making out all over fucking YouTube. Like, just go have a three-way, get it over with, post it on OnlyFans. Come on, totally, what's going on here?
Kind of what I've been feeling.
Jesus.
As a long time at this point atheist content creator. I'm excited for what the future holds. Please do keep an eye out. I am going to be posting more in this new era of my content. And with that, yeah, I'll see you next time. Let me know if you have.
Of course, as usual, I've gone too far, but, it was fucking worth it. I'm fucking here for it. Much love, be well, be kind, and stay trusty. Try not to be a duplicitous fucking piece of shit who makes no fucking logical sense, ever. Okay.